Okay, hey guys. I know it's been a while since I've made a video. Don't know what to tell you. Today I just decided I wanted to have a meatball sub, and I just can't get those here. And so I thought maybe I could find some frozen meatballs at the supermarket or something. And no. And I thought, meatballs. I can make meatballs, right? So I just kind of sat down and thought about it, and I thought, okay, Italian style meatballs. And so I came up with this idea. I've got the meat, it's thawing at the moment. It's almost thawed. It'll be ready when I'm ready for it. And I figured we need dry ingredients. I got, starting with breadcrumbs. Couldn't find breadcrumbs, but I got breadsticks. So I'm just gonna crush up some breadsticks, and let's see, mix it up with some garlic. It says paprika, but here it says garlic, and it is. And some oregano for the Italian flavoring. Your standard pepper. And then for the wet ingredients, I got an egg, got some milk, 2%. And then I'll mix the meat up with that. And then I'll bake the meatballs, make them into meatballs, and bake them in the oven, and see how that works. If it works out, then I'll just mix it with, I don't know, red sauce. You've seen this before, so I'm going to use that for a red sauce. And I don't know. I don't see, unless I completely mess up the mixture, it seems like it should work. So now here's how I'm gonna mix up the, you're gonna like my tools. So first I'll start with mixing the dry ingredients. Here's the cup I'm gonna crush the breadsticks in. And I'll use this, while I'm crushing it up, I may as well mix up all the other dry goods together before I pour it in a bowl. So here's how this is going to work. I don't really have any crushing tools, so I figured screwdriver, butt end. So here we go. Take a breadstick. This is completely experimental, but it ought to work. I've had a couple of these. It tastes like breadsticks. That should make breadcrumbs pretty well. So I'm going to break these up. I'm going to smash them up a lot, and then I'll add the other dry ingredients because they're already fairly well smashed. I don't have any powder stuff, and I kind of wanted powder. So I'm kind of using this as a makeshift mortar and pestle, as you can see. And I'll show you in a second how that's working out. So now I'm going to add a little bit of garlic, because this garlic, it's fairly well crushed, but it's not powder. So, and same with the oregano. The oregano is more powder-like, but it'll still mix up really well. So. And some pepper. And then when I start crushing this up, I'll show you what it starts to look like. Hang on just a second. I pulled out some salt. Yeah, I've got sea salt. I'm reluctant to add sea salt, but I'm gonna add a little bit. Just a little bit. And I may be sorry I did that. I usually don't like adding salt, but probably add one more breadstick to that. I may not need all of this dry stuff because it looks like it's turning into a lot. Maybe half of one. I'll eat the rest. All right, so crushing. And the butt end of the screwdriver seems to be working out pretty well. Okay, I'm going to crush this until I get kind of a powdery thing, and then I'll show you in a minute. Okay, it's coming pretty well, but it just suddenly occurred to me that maybe I'm just going to add just a dash of red pepper. Just for a little bit of spiciness. Not much, because this is fairly strong red pepper. That's enough. I just added a tiny bit. And you see it's coming along really well, so. Now another thing occurred to me was that it's possible that I overdo the mix and I don't have enough meat. I didn't take out very much meat. So I took out a little bit more. In case I need a little bit more, I do have some. I'm not going to ruin the recipe just because of that. So don't you worry. If it looks like I'm going in that direction, you'll see what I do about it. So I'm going to crush some more and then I'll show you when I'm done. Okay. I'm stopping here. I think that should be okay. Now I'm going to smell it. Smells Italian-ish. So now let's put that aside, and now let's get out a bowl. And the only wet ingredients are the egg and the milk. So let's do the egg. There we go. Yeah. Get all the shell out of there. Okay, we'll whisk that. I don't have a whisk either, so just use what I've always used for whisking, and that's a fork. Actually, it occurs to me I should have done this in one of those little cups also. But I want to mix up the yolk and the white because, it's going to mix in with the meat, hold it together. And add a little bit of milk, just a tiny bit of milk. Now remember, I'm not going by a recipe, I'm just making this up as I go along, so even if they come out really well, you could improvise. There, that's, mix that up better. Maybe a tiny bit more milk. Okay, that should be fine. That should be fine. Okay. Now we're going to mix this up. And that looks pretty good to me. That's good. There we go. That looks good enough. So now, here's where we got to be careful because this looks like an awful lot of powder. So we're going to add the dry ingredients to the egg. And let's see, can you see that? There we go. Maybe a little bit more. Boy, I chopped up way more powder stuff than I needed. I'm only using about half of what I mashed up. That's okay, I'll save it. Okay, while I'm doing this, with the other hand, I'll check the beef and see if it's thawed. Oh, it's totally thawed. Okay. Now, I hope this isn't too much. Looks like it might be too much. I'll show you how much beef I have. Also, it occurred to me that adding some Italian sausage would be a good idea, but I didn't think of that until just this second. So this is the meat I have, and that's how much egg I have. I think I made too much. So, got another bowl here. I'm just going to pour this. Here, I'm going to put this down somewhere. Okay, I'm gonna pour this into, some of it into a bigger bowl. And I'll put the beef in here and mix that in. Oh, that's plenty, I'm sure. In fact, even for just half of that egg, I may need more beef, which is fine. I can prepare that. I'm just gonna have to put this on pause and get some more beef. That's too wet. It's not gonna hold together as meatballs. Now, it doesn't have to be super firm, but that's way too mushy. So, what I need to do is thaw out a bit more beef, and I will do that. And when it's thawed, I'll just put this on pause. When it's paused, or when it's thawed out enough, I'll turn it back on and we'll get back into it. Okay, I lied. I already added the extra meat, and I tested the consistency, and it'll hold into balls. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this and let it sit for a few minutes. I don't know, 15 minutes ought to do it. And I'll tell you why when this stuff stops making noise. Where to put this? Okay. So, why did I do that? Because I know how the breadcrumbs can be, especially since I crushed them myself from breadsticks, and they're very, very crunchy. I want those to soften up a bit before I put them into balls. Before I put them into balls and then, you know, put them in the oven to bake. Now I put out my baking tray. I'm going to put some tin foil on that and grease that up. And then after a few minutes, I'll form the meatballs and turn on the oven and stick them in there for a little bit until they're cooked. And then we'll see how it goes from there. Okay. It's only been a second. So we're going to let that sit for a few minutes, and in the meantime, I'm just going to oil this a little bit so the meatballs don't stick too badly. And notice I just used a tiny bit of oil, and I'm going to spread this around, and that'll keep for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or so. And then we'll get back to this and we'll form the meatballs and stick them in the oven. What do you reckon? And we'll see how it goes. Okay, I've let them sit for a little while, so let's get back to making the meatballs. And first I need to turn on the oven. All right. Okay. Now, reset the camera angle. Wow, they smell really garlicky. And it's thicker, and I'm glad we let it wait. I don't know how big to make these meatballs. I don't want to make them too big because I want to put them on a sandwich. I think I got enough to make way more meatballs than I really intended to. But, okay. Now, will they retain their form after they've been baked, or while they're being baked? I hope so. We'll see how this goes. I'll probably go into the editing and just kind of speed this up. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Used all the meat. So let's stick them in the oven. Okay, so far it looks pretty good. Okay, so we're gonna let those bake, and then if they turn out okay, we'll prepare the bread with some cheese. And oh man, I'm really hoping this turns out well. And then we'll put sauce in the pan and you know, sauce them up, grate some cheese, and make a sandwich. And fingers crossed, high hopes. And we'll get back in a few minutes. In the meantime, I always like to clean up as I go. So by the time we're done, the kitchen will already be clean. That's something I always do. I don't know why my mother never did this. No one ever did this. My wife never did this. No one cleans up as they go. But me, as much of a mess I make, as much of a mess as I make, by the time my project is finished, the kitchen's clean. So we're good. Just need to clean the counter, and there's my kitchen, and it's, you know, it's done. And I keep the aluminum foil. Yeah, it's not super expensive, but there's no reason to waste it, right? So, okay, we'll see how they turn out. Okay, they're not done yet, but I'm gonna pull them out of the oven and turn them over just so they cook a little more evenly. So hang on, here we go. Okay, back you up a bit. They seem to be retaining their shape. And sticking a bit in spite of the oil. Please work. Please don't fall apart. Damn. Okay. Well, they're a little bit flat on one side. That's not disastrous, though. Okay, they're probably done. I'm turning off the fire now. And I'm gonna let them sit there in the heat without it getting any hotter. Let it slowly cool down. I'll pull them out in a few minutes, and we'll taste one. And if they taste okay, we'll carry on into the sandwich. All right. Still hot, but not nearly as hot. Okay. Let's take the small one right here. It's not exactly a ball, but it's close enough. See if it's any good. I'm a little bit afraid of it. It's cooked through. Yeah. It's all right. I mean, all the ingredients were fine. None of them were gross together, and made a decent meatball. Hot. Okay, yeah, hot. Yep. It's cooked through. So, now what are we gonna do? We're gonna stick them in a pan, put them with the sauce. Here we go. Okay. I'm gonna start with just putting them into the pan. Wish I had a smaller pan because I don't need to fill it with sauce. I don't want to waste the sauce. Wait a minute, they're a little bit spicy too. Remember the chili I put in there? It's nice, it's not super spicy. I wouldn't say, that's a spicy meatball. Just somewhat spicy. It's kind of nice. So, here we go. Hang on. Okay. You remember this, right? Well, I'm not going to open this can because I have a previous can that I opened up and stuck it in the fridge in this jar that I repurposed for pizza sauce. So I'm gonna pour the sauce on the meatballs here, so you can see. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna keep the jar because I'll empty that can into that jar a little later on. But let's see. We want the meatballs to be well. What's the word? Well, marinated, I guess. Want them to be completely covered with the sauce and, you know, and then we'll heat everything up because the sauce just came out of the fridge. So hang on. Okay. Okay. Let's turn that up a bit. Okay. I've turned the fire on the fan. So we're just going to heat that up and then put the lid back on the pan and take it off the heat. And let it just stay hot for a spell, and then we'll prepare the bun, the sandwich bread, and we'll get back to that. Okay, it's good, getting good and hot, so we'll turn off this fire and put the lid on it, and we'll put this over here. And now we're going to prepare the bun. Well, this is the only cheese I have. I would recommend provolone. And, you know, while we're at it, some dried Parmesan would be kind of a good ingredient for the dry part of the meatballs. That would be a good idea also. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grate some cheese into this. And then I think I'm going to put it into the oven, wrap it in that aluminum foil to melt the cheese. Or I don't know. Oh, that's a bit more than I needed, I guess. That's quite a bit more than I needed. But, nah, screw it. We'll just distribute it and then get that alfoil out. Put the oven back on. Okay. Wrap this up. Well, no, shoot. What the hell? Let's put the meatballs in there. Let's see, how many do we need? I'm thinking 4, maybe 3, maybe 3. Yeah, I think 3 would do it. With a fair doppling of the marinara. I think 3 would be good. I've got 7 meatballs left, so if I use 3 for the sandwich, so I've got enough for 1 more sandwich plus 1 more meatball. That's what I reckon. Let's just add some more sauce to this. Won't need to be in the oven for more than like a minute. I won't make you stand here and wait with me, but I want to melt the cheese. You know what I'm saying? So I like sauce. I like the sauce. Now, I'm not a deli guy, so it's going to be a sloppy enough sandwich that I may want to eat it with a fork and a knife. But we're gonna put this in the foil, and let's try to include as much of this as we can. Don't want to lose any if possible. Sloppy as shit because I grated too much cheese, but yeah, it's all right. Okay. Okay, now we got kind of a mess here. I'm gonna put everything away, gonna clean up, and when I'm done cleaning up, the sandwich will be ready. I only have it in the oven for a minute or so. That's all. I'm not gonna make you watch me clean up the kitchen. So I'll turn this back on and we'll try the sandwich in just a minute and then we'll be done. Okay, so the pizza sauce jar is empty, so I'm gonna open the new can, fill the jar, and put the jar in the fridge. And I'll show you what I did with the leftover leftover meatballs and sauce, and then we'll pull out the sandwich and give it a try. Okay, that's the leftover meatballs and sauce in the fridge. Next time I heat this up, it'll be in the microwave. Kitchen's clean. All the dishes are clean. Pot's got to dry. Lid's got to dry. Everything else is copacetic. Okay, and here's the finished sandwich. Let's see if we could hold it together enough to get it off the tin foil. Sandwich is hot. Tin foil's not, but sauce is hot. Okay, there we go. Now, and that's the sandwich. We're gonna taste it in just a minute. Okay, it looks messy. I said it would look messy, but it's meatballs, marinara, and cheese. Let's taste it. That's what I wanted for dinner tonight. That's what I wanted for dinner tonight, and I've got it. Oh man. Is it perfect? No. Is it really, really good? Yes. It's well within the parameters. And I did that with whatever I was able to come up with at a Spar grocery store and what I had at home. That worked out nice. That worked out really nice. I'm very, very happy with that. So, there you go. Meatball sub done by a moron. So you could do it too. All right. Like and subscribe if you are so moved. Otherwise, I want to quit saying that because I feel like such a, I don't know, I feel like such a YouTuber. I don't want to be a YouTuber. You know, unless I'm getting paid for it. You know what to do. There's buttons and, you know, there's whatever. Anyway, meatball sub worked out. So there you go. And I'll be back, I don't know, next week, another day or so. We'll see. But there we are for today. And if you watched all the way through, thanks for watching and take care.